I'm the slasher movie reviewer, and this is my very first top 10. This is when I do my list of my top 10 favorite of whatever I feel like talking about. So, to get started, I thought we'd do my first top 10 on the needle pit. Oh my god, this one is crazy. Amanda, from the first one, gets pushed into this pit of needles and has to go digging through it to find the key to get out before the time runs out. Being a druggie, and having injected all those needles, that's gotta hurt. That's really, really gotta hurt. The Carousel Trap from Saw 6. Ugh, this one was so beautiful, I felt. Our main guy, he gets to this room where all of his friends, he calls the dog pit, is all strapped to this carousel that is spinning. And he has to choose only 2 to survive. And in order to save those 2, he has to sacrifice a little piece of his hand. It's nasty, it's gross, it's grotesque, but I also like because it kind of feels a little different from previous Saws, Saw 5's the blade table. Now the blade table is the scene where they start picking the pieces together and they actually understand the twist to the film and stuff like that. And what they have to do is they have to stick their arm, these 2 people have to stick their arm, and while these blades are spinning, have to cut pieces of their arm in order for blood to drain out, and they have to sacrifice up to 10 pints of blood. Now you cannot survive with 10 pints of blood, but you could possibly survive with 5 pints of blood left. So the 2 people are trying to say they'll sacrifice 5 pints each, and therefore to do it. And let me tell you, this one is bloody. This is the bloodiest one in Saw 5. And it's my personal favorite of Saw 5. Even though I felt like Saw 5 was sort of the weakest of all the Saw films. Number 7 is also from Saw 2. That's the Dena Flytrap, the opening sequence in Saw 2, where this guy wakes up and he has this thing on around his neck, kind of similar to the reverse bear trap in the first one, but they got these spikes in it. It's like a mask. And tape comes on, Jigsaw explains the game, but what he has to do is he has to pop his eye out to get the key that is in place behind it. I honestly could not do this trap. I could not do it. By far, the goriest trap of all Saw films is the Auto Shop Trap from Saw 3D. Oh my god, I was cringing on it, and I'm just like, oh, it's nasty. Pretty much, you have Chester from Linkin Park. I couldn't really hear. I think he was a racist person, and he literally has to sacrifice the skin on his back and grab a lever and pull it in order to save the guy who's attached to the garage. A guy who's attached to the back of the car has a ring in his mouth changed, and then his girlfriend who's underneath the car, underneath the wheel. It's nasty. It is nasty. It is freaking nasty. And he's just like, and you can just see the back. I'm like, By far the goriest trap Saw has ever had. And Saw, my friends, I've had some gory stuff, so I couldn't take it. It was just nasty, but one of Jigsaw's personal favorites, the rack. And you can see why from Saw 3. The man is attached to what looks like this sort of cross, and literally things start spinning. And those are his arms and his legs and his head. and this guy in there has to help him get out. And oh my god, it's so nasty. Ugh. It's so nasty, but so awesome. And I mean, you just see it and like, and it's, you know, but it's one of Jigsaw's favorite, and you can definitely see why. Ugh, it's nasty. So, moving on. The shotgun collar from Saw 3. Oh my lord, this one you see a lot in Saw 3, because what happens is our main doctor gets kidnapped, and she's put this collar on that has bullets implanted into them, and if two things happen, they will go off and literally with her head. And here's what, but the two things is, first off, if she runs off or goes to a certain far distance, then the thing goes off. The second thing is she's been asked to keep Jigsaw alive long enough for another guy to finish his trap. And if he can finish his trap and Jigsaw is still alive, then she will be set free. So, but if Jigsaw dies, and she's having to perform, you know, surgical procedures with like a drill and like the tools that you don't use to perform surgical procedures like brain tumors and, you know, you don't use stuff like that, no tools like that. By far the most beautifully shot trap in all the Saw films is the Angel Trap, and this is by far a personal favorite of mine, and it was one of the most shocking moments because we had been following this character and for a while. You know, she was in Saw 1, Saw 2, and now Saw 3, and you know, now she's stuck into a trap, and we were like, and you know, you were trying to watch, and she's got these things implanted into her ribs, and if she doesn't get the key in the acid that's in front of her and unlock it, then it's just gonna go. And it's so beautiful they shot, and the outcome is pretty gruesome, if I may add. And it's a cool looking trap, and honestly, the way it's directed is what makes this trap so memorable in my mind, because it's just with the green, with the light, with how they use the green and the lights, I think to contrast them together is really good and really cool. So I think that's what makes the Angel Trap so good. The reverse bear trap from Saw 1. Its most classic trap of all. It's the one I think immediately comes to mind, the one that Amanda is, the thing planted in her mouth, and if she doesn't find the key planted in her soulmate's body, literally, boom, rips off the skull and stuff. It's so gruesome and scary, and it's beautifully directed with the shaky cams going like this and the fast camera movements. I love it. I love this trap. It's the classic Saw trap in this film, and I love this one to death. And it has to be on everybody's top 10 pick. If it's not, then don't even look at that list. Don't. The bathroom trap. Hello. Two guys chained to a pipe, and one of them ends up sawing his own foot off, for Christ's sake. Not only that, you can't do nothing about the family who's been kidnapped because you're strapped to this pipe. You got this guy arguing with you. You have no idea why you're here. You have all these little factors played into it. Plus, this is the first Saw, so you know you're new to all this. So it's gripping, and it takes place through the whole 90 minutes or whatever through this film. I mean, this is by far the best trap in Saw, and I mean that when he cuts his foot off, it's the most memorable scene, and that's the scene that people remember Saw for. They remember that bathroom scene, and it is just grotesque, and it's awesome. That's why the bathroom scene in Saw 1 is by far the #1 best trap in all the Saw films. I'm the Slasher Movie Reviewer, and you just got my personal top 10 favorite Saw traps, and hopefully this will not be the last of these top 10s. So, like always, you've just been slashed. Whew.